Hey everybody, today I have the absolute pleasure of having a wonderful gentleman with me on my show, Love in Action with Alpa Soni, the spiritual badass. It's the lovely Professor or Dr. NICKY HAMID, and is known as the Professor of Happiness. And today I am feeling I need some help on being happy because the full moon has got me bad. Welcome, Dr. NICKY. Nice to have you.
Thank you, Alpa. It's a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this, and we're in the pink, no matter what's going on.
Same to same. Well, look, I'm so glad you've been looking forward to it because I've been really looking forward to speaking to you. I've had a crazy morning, and I've been feeling really stroppy. I've been really homing into this kind of waves of energy that we're going through in humanity at the moment. And I came across your profile and something sort of instinctively drew me to you. And that's, as I was explaining to you earlier on, that's happening a lot with people. But when I say instinctively, it's like a pull that says, you know, there's wisdom here, Alpa. There's something that you will learn, because as I say, I know nothing. And on this journey, I want to speak to kindred souls that can help humanity. These words are thrown around to ascend and to spiritually grow and going into the 5D. And I understand that, I'm just going on your website, that it's your global mission, to spread love and to inspire humanity. And you've written many books. One of the ones which I want to buy is The Shift to the Fifth Dimension, because I get asked this a lot. Alpa, what does it mean to shift to the fifth dimension? What does 5D mean? Or then you've got another one called All You Can Be, and then quantum self-healing. These are terms that are being thrown around right now, not flippantly, but there are people that are on the precipice of this great global awakening, and they have no idea what our so-called conspiratorial people are talking about in this journey. So I'm so happy to be speaking to you today, and you're going to be shedding some light on all of this.
We are together because it is always together. Yeah. When I write, it's the we. I write from we. I ask, what does humanity want to hear today?
Yeah.
Because we're in it together, absolutely. And the whole transition, this whole ascension, is our own individual journeys, but it is doing it together. Because I heard at the time of 2012, when it was the end times from the Mayan point of view. Yes. It wasn't the end time from the Aztec or the Toltec point of view, but everybody took it and thought all sorts of things. But I heard a call from the depths of my being, and it was a call of humanity. And it says, no, not individuals making it to whatever it is, and I'll refer to what it is in a minute, but we want to do it together. Let's all do it together. And so this is the amazing part. And now, as we, those who have been, if you like, on the forefront, working to clear their own auric field and clear the dross and learn how to disengage from the movie.
Yeah.
As we have got many clues through our experience of how to remember.
Yeah, here we are.
Now is the time to share.
Yes, definitely
because
feel that.
People are looking, even if they don't appear to be looking. People, we say they're asleep, and it seems the majority of people are asleep. The majority of people are afraid. The majority of people will react to you who present your epiphanies of seeing what the movie did.
Yeah.
And how the movie is playing out. But they are frightened because they've been like children asleep.
Comatose.
Yes, and it's their time to wake up. But they're threatened. They're threatened because it requires change. And humanity's been going on the basis of the devil you know is better than the God you don't.
Yeah.
And
That's happening a lot. That is happening a lot. I was speaking, just want to add to that. I was speaking to a friend just yesterday, and she's just said, Alpa, you know, why are you getting so upset? Because these people that are close to me that have taken the decision of their body to take, I can't say the word because, you know, I'm on my last strike here, but they're taking the decision to make some choices about their own body, which is fine. They've come here in the covenant of their own soul. So why are you getting so affected by this? And when I see the resistance out there right now, where there is absolutely no clue, not even any idea about what's going on, it's just a blind faith into the mainstream narrative of what's going on globally, I find this push-pull kind of energy within myself where I do get consumed by it, and I put my hands up. While I know that there's the greater good to be focused on, and I do that. I honor this space that I'm at because I do want to continually ascend. So I find that the planetary influences, like it's a full moon today, I get quite affected. And I feel that because, like you said earlier, it's the time for sharing, and we're not sweeping things under the carpet right now. So when I speak on my shows, I implore people to check within themselves what's actually going on, be honest about it, and then be solution focused.
yes, yes. Well, people react. There are two things that I'd like to talk about. One is anger, and the other is remembering something that's so important that I think a lot of those in the spiritual community forget all the time. So if I could, the first thing is what's arising a lot on both sides, as it were, the wake and the asleep, is anger. Anger. All right. Yeah.
I put my hands up, I'm guilty.
but you see, we're so judgmental of ourselves. You know, I'm a spiritual being, I shouldn't be angry. However, what is the basis of our anger? You've had hundreds of lifetimes.
Yes, I get it.
And hundreds of lifetimes you've had to deny your truth in order to survive, or your family to survive, or your loved ones to survive. You've had to deny your truth and even dob other people in to save yourself. All kinds of ways that we have been on the battlefield and hacked and hewed other people's bodies. And we had to be in such a rage in order to do it.
Yes.
So what is this anger? Because it's in the soul wounds. It's in the soul wounds of humanity, and we carry that.
Yes,
We carry
from generation to generation.
Yeah, and within our bodies, our auric field now, because as soul beings, we came for the experience of it, right? And now we're transmuting that. So what is the basis of that anger? And I say one thing, because I always like to go to the simple. It is the anger arises because we have had our truth trampled upon.
Yes.
And we've allowed sometimes, and we've actually consciously participated in trampling on other people's truth.
Yes.
And so our anger is this, having our truth trampled on.
Yes.
So we can't deny that anger. It comes up as an emotion because it represents the memories and the thoughts.
Yeah.
Thoughts are electric, and where you have that electric charge, you always have a magnetic field around it, which is your emotion, which comes up as an emotion. Okay, so what do we do with this? First of all, it's to acknowledge the feeling.
Yes.
And simply, it's so simple. You feel this anger. It might be about those out there, whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
whatever they're doing, because you see through it and you see what's happening, and your wrath arises through your experience, and also the knowing that innocence is being manipulated.
Yes.
The innocence of people.
Yes.
There's the innocence of the children being suffering, but it is the innocence of humankind, because the beauty of human is this innocence of being.
Yeah.
And this is what we're moving towards, that innocence of being. But
Yeah.
the innocence of being, this is the human, this is the nature of human. Every one of us comes as babies. And you look at a baby and you know and feel the innocence. You and I and everyone has been that. We came from God. So we remember, but we didn't know that we knew, we just knew. And then we found you weren't allowed to be like that. You know, we learned all different kinds of ways, or were forced in different kinds of ways to forget that knowing. Now we're coming back to that innocence. But with that innocence, the angelic self, comes the warrior self. And the warrior self says, not on my watch. Not on my watch. No. Yeah, no. That is wrong. That is truth.
Absolutely.
Archangel Michael, you know, a lot of people follow that beautiful being. He stands with a sword, and it's a sword of truth. It's not a sword that it is enough to hold the truth that anyone in front of it, if it's done with this love and compassion and beauty of that connection, must back away. The dark cannot take a no. It can't live. It has to go back. It has to receive. There's nothing else we need to do when we stand in our truth.
Yeah.
So we say to the, you know what, I do not consent. Now that do not consent is not a fight. It is I, in all my truth, I do not consent. Even your angelic, your company of heaven, which we all have an entourage. And guys, you better remember it.
Yeah.
Because as I said at the beginning, we share as humans, but we share as a huge, huge team.
Yeah.
It goes way, way beyond our understanding. So you, I are not on our own. We've never been on our own. So look, guys, look and ask. You have the free will to ask for a beautiful being to come into your auric field and take out the pain of the fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
Because it has a huge emotional base. That's what, you know, one of the things about fibromyalgia and what's the term? Where you lose all your energy. I've forgotten it.
Oh, chronic fatigue.
Chronic fatigue and things like that. Because it's in your auric field, it's the wound.
Yeah.
And the shadow beings work from the
wounds. Yeah.
On your wounds.
Yeah.
And they are puppeteered by the dark. They're puppeteered by the dark.
100% get that.
So, how about that spiritual being? How about calling in your team and starting to work with them, however you see them, daily?
I'd like to share something on that point just before I forget. So I just wanted to add to that you just mentioned about calling your team and about this anger, this righteous anger that has been evoked in humanity because of what we've learned about children. That's exactly what happened to me, because I would never have talked in public the way I do. I think my audience can tell I struggle sometimes still, because the brain fog kind of interferes and I'm like, what was I about to say? That's why I have to kind of sometimes interject. But it is that calling of your spiritual team, and I remember just kneeling down on the floor, on the bed, in my bedroom, and sobbing and saying, give me the courage to talk about this, because and fight and go into the warrior mode, because you're standing in your truth. It's like, what truth is this? Because it's just something that I had learned, and that's my truth. But it felt like, you know, in movies where you can start remembering lifetimes of pain because it pierced so deeply. And I work with a lot of healers, and you never know what past lifetimes we have had connected to this as well, which is why there's that great impetus to really forge forward with that tenacity, with that warrior tenacity, and say, right, no, not on my watch. And this is where we have been like met with incredible resistance, because this is not something new. This has been saboteur and bloodshed for 25,000 years plus, so not even longer. It's written in our scriptures. So we here at our 3D level cannot fathom that this stuff happens, because we're led to believe that it's only happening in the movies. So this disparity humanity is going through, and this sort of interwoven struggle, a lot of warriors are waking up still in spite of that, and standing in that truth. So yeah.
Precious sister, it's daily. We have to, as Jesus said, die daily. We have to awaken you, because everything's changing all the time. But we have a team, and it's not a team out there on high. It's a team right in close behind you, and all around us all the time. And we don't have to be holier than thou to contact that team. They need to know. They need to know how we feel.
Yeah.
In the good times as well as the bad times.
Yes.
Because in the good times, sharing your joy with them is a way they can show, project, if you're willing to use you with your permission that day or that moment to come through and project out even further beyond your own, because we're conduits.
Yes.
We're bearers of light. And with regards to your going down on your knees and then picking yourself, you brought to me a picture. You brought to me a picture of a little boy, because I used to do family retreats. And this little boy, mother said he was having great difficulty sleeping. He was about 7 years old, I think. No, he was younger than that. May have been 5 or 6. So I spoke to him and I said, I showed him a picture of a warrior. I don't know whether it was Archangel Michael or not, but holding the sword up. I said, see that sword? Do you think you can imagine the sword? You could easily. I said, when you go to sleep at night, have that sword beside your bed. And when those things come that threaten him, pick up the sword and just hold it there, and they'll run.
Oh.
Fixed it just like that. He was empowered. Because children are like that.
Yeah.
They can do it. And in the same way, when they're down, you know, there's a whole host of helpers that are there. The same for us. I like going to a mall, and I like walking in the mall. My wife Glenn likes to shop.
Of course.
And I like to walk amongst them, because I just love meeting new people and strangers who are not strangers at all, and sitting and talking to them, but just walking through. And I can get back into the car, and Glenn comes and sits in there, and she says something, and that niggles me. Now, I know that's not me. I know that in walking through that mall, some shadow being has jumped into my aura, field and is niggling a wound. Now, I can't see where that is, and I don't have to, because I can call on my spirit surgeons.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, because I feel this niggle. Hey, guys, come in, pluck it out. And I know with my relationship with them, they replace it with light. Instead of beeping this negative signal, it starts to be higher light.
Yeah.
They do that. I don't have to see it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because we're human. We've got a life to lead. We don't have to do it all on our own. We don't have to clear all the time.
Yeah.
Let our team do it.
I love that, because first of all, I think that there's not just a team for me, there's an entourage, and quite a few of mine have had to go to like therapy themselves for looking after me. Just or rehab. Yeah, they're like, gosh, yeah, man, you know, some of mine have turned to drinking alcohol. I mean, I'm convinced of that. But, you know, I get that, you know, I always call upon my guardians of the highest realm and just say, I don't understand this, and I'm not sure why I'm feeling like this. I need you to help me come back into light, especially when I start feeling anger and frustration, because that happens a lot lately. It's like I said, my mum's like, Alpa, you have such a short fuse. Like, I'm like, you're just quick to really jump down someone's throat in this whole camaraderie that we find ourselves in. But I'm aware of it, and I want to come into that balance, because ultimately, what was it? And I broke it down. It is the fear of the unknown. And the fear of the unknown is we on this side we're also doing the same as the other side. We're kind of feeding the fear, because now that we have information about this stuff, we are propagating. I mean, we're seeing a lot of, you know, casualties, but there's a sense of, in 2 years' time, what's going to happen to these people? And these people are our friends and loved ones. So this is where this kind of anger, these waves of anger and hurt and emotional imbalance was coming, because it's like, oh my God. And then I center myself, go back into a higher space and say, I cannot control this. And all I do is whatever it will be, whatever it's meant to be, it will be. And that is the choice of their soul covenant. Yeah. And their soul journey.
Yeah. What is your responsibility? That's the question. What am I responsible for? I'm responsible. I'm here to hold the light and spread the love. And sometimes the love says no to others, and sometimes it says no to you. But yeah, that's right. But I'm not responsible for somebody, anyone else, even my children. In fact, I take responsibility for what is appropriate, but I'm not responsible. They are beautiful soul beings on their journey, no matter how yucky they look. Yes. Sometimes they appear. And that's not a judgment, it's a recognition of resonance, right? Yeah. We're not responsible. We're not responsible for what happens in 6 months' time or 2 years' time.
Exactly.
Because we know where we're going.
Yeah.
It's in the heart. And the heart knows the way. The heart knows. Love will find a way when there appears to be no way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But it's about this daily dynamic, the daily dynamic of choosing to make your contact and have your conversational relationship with your company. When you feel up, when you feel down, and when you feel, oh, I've got a busy day. Always just in the same way as we, used to be taught to have a meditation every day. Have a time where you lie down and call in the spirit help, even if it's 10 minutes on the bed, to lie down, because that's when you're most relaxed, and say, guys, come in and infuse my auric field with light and pluck out any shadow you see. Yeah. And just relax into it. no thinking of what or wherever, just a time when there is openness and the free will choice to do it, because you trust, because you know, and you feel the loving presence come.
Yeah.
Because you have that intent of only the highest light and the highest love.
Yeah. So I like how you've explained that wounds that the shadow beings can come and infiltrate your auric field. A lot of people on this journey who are awakening or have woken up just in this 1 year, maybe not had a spiritual practice or any kind of spiritual disciplines prior, and are kind of struggling with, you know, how to navigate themselves in this movement. Yes, they know that they've heard everything at 3D level, what's going on, doing their research, watching YouTube videos, listening to other people on the journey. But they may be struggling with, what do I do spiritually? I think that there is no one shoe fits all. I think we're all born with an intuitive compass. I'm not well read on this book and that book. It's just my inner guidance that has helped me navigate myself through this journey and intuitively pick up and get messages from what I believe is the higher realm. And you know, I am evolving in this spiritual journey, or whatever label we want to give it, truth-seeking journey. Sorry, it's just coming around. Just bear with me. Yes, I lose my train of thought very easily. Yeah, in this truth-seeking journey. So there is no one shoe fits all. Oh, sorry, my mum's just come into the room. I just, 1 second.
We're not in a hurry.
Sorry about that, folks. I had to pause that there because I got distracted. So yeah, I was just basically saying that, you know, there is no one shoe fits all. We're all on our own journey, carving out what we think we know, what we're intuitively guided to. And these new people that are saying, Alpa, how do I, you know, ascend to the 50? What do I do? I mean, I do love your website, the Global Mission of Truth. How lovely is that? And what a lovely title or lovely name you've given it. And in essence, you've kept it very simple, right? Ultimately, if I was to know nothing about anything, I would just take away from the things that I read that it's love is the answer.
Yeah, I wrote that book, All You Can Be, and it's all kinds of spiritual stuff, but it's put in the simplest way so that people can relate to it, because it is simple. I mean, we've just been speaking about auric fields and shadow, but how can you feel more at peace and happy? And there are all kinds of tools out there and it can get so confusing. And I think that it's simplicity. I say, well, build a daily dynamic. Voila. Well, if you walk in the park or sit under a tree and it makes you feel good, there's where you start. Just be in that place, because nature gives and gives and gives. And just be receptive to that giving. There's one way. Another way is meditation. That's a time where you sit, relax, open up, let go, and watch your thoughts. And you can hum to yourself or whatever. But you're not trying to fill yourself up with anything. You're allowing things to pass. You're relaxing and allowing peace. And do it as do these things as a daily dynamic. Or you do yoga. Yoga makes people feel good, or exercise makes people feel good. But because when you feel good, you're relaxed, and when you're relaxed, the so-called shadow I've been talking about is released. Your daily shadow is released.
Yeah.
So you feel better. So but it's a regular thing. It's daily, and it's by your free will choice. Why am I doing this? Because it feels good. Because it brings me closer to myself, because however you do it, and it's in simplicity. It's a simplicity of being, and so any tool that does that for you is for you.
Yeah.
For a time, because these things change as you grow.
Yeah.
But KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
So how has it been for you? I mean, share with us your journey, Dr. Nicky. Like, where did it begin for you? You said 2012, but I'm sure it was a lot before that.
You got 3 days?
Got 30 minutes.
Well, quickly, I had a childhood. Yeah, first of all with bombs falling, because I was born outside London, and of course the Germans were in a hurry to get back. They didn't like being in the Blitz, so they dropped most of their bombs on the seaside of London, where we lived.
Wow.
But I grew up there. But my mum said I came from the womb singing. And I had a mother and father who were very well read, not scholarly in the sense of with degrees or anything, but very well read and always well read. And they shared. And I was dyslexic. I never read a book till I was 18, right through. My writing was atrocious. My spelling was atrocious. I was out there. I was physical. And I was a lot in my imagination. But my parents never tried to stop that. So I grew up in that way. And for me, you have the ups and downs like we all have, but there was always, what's next? What's the next opportunity? Where's the next adventure? So I've had lots of adventures in my life. But from an early age, I would say my company of heaven, or certain beings from the company of heaven, walked beside me. They walked beside me. And they walked beside all of us. And I would forget them, of course, and they get involved in the games, you know, the world. But I'd always come back. At night, I'd always come back. I prayed since I was a little boy. It was just in my nature to do that. And so it was a love of God that has always carried me through. But God in a nothing and in non-being sense. Because later on I studied the scriptures, the ancient the ancient wisdom and things from various religions. And they came part of me at the time, but I love people. I just love people. And so it's always been about people. So it's not serving people in a slave-like way, but how can I help you? I love you.
Yeah. And I think
so when I
forget that.
Yeah. So when I started counseling and my therapy, because I did a degree in psychology eventually, and I got a PhD in record time because I was kind of had a science bent as well, science and maths, because you didn't have to write so much for those. Yeah, I had that kind of bent, but I got to find psychology and loved it. But my psychology was quite different to a lot of textbook stuff, because I had this background from my mother in theosophy and so on. And so I had the spiritual, and I always had that spiritual lean, as it were, or wisdom lean, ancient wisdom lean. So it became part of me. So when I started counseling, and very soon, because I'd worked with and peers, teenagers and so on, helping them, I realized that there were two things people look for when they come to me, no matter whatever problem they came with. And that was, I want to be seen. I want to be seen.
I want to be seen.
Yes. And I want to be touched. I mean, loved. I want to feel loved. And those are the two things. And they're still the two things I see today, every week.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I was thinking about this last night with some of the things that I go through personally myself. And very early on, when I discovered there wasn't something right internally, I think it was about 6 years ago now, And then they diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. I didn't accept the condition or the diagnosis. I went to look at what was causing the dis-ease within my body, the dis-ease. I did lean to a bit of like some of the books. The thing with me is I couldn't ever finish any book. I would just sort of skim through it, and it would almost give me like a synopsis, and I would be able to look at it, read the bit, flick through pages like that, and I would kind of get it. I don't know if anyone goes through this. So it was, so that's why I say don't read.
Exactly. I do still do it. That's how I've gone through university like that.
Yeah, I don't, so I don't conventionally go through each page, write notes. I'll just flick, you know, I'll just go through all the chapters, skim through the whole book, and then I think, yeah, I'll go back to it, but I never end up doing that. But I get nuggets of wisdom, and it's almost like the heavens are sort of pointing me to the bits that I need to learn. So when I realized what the emotional connection was to fibromyalgia and the dis-ease, is that where in my life, because it's known as the invisible illness. So I remember someone when I first started saying, oh, she fidgets a lot, because there is a lot of kind of, you know, aches and pains. And I understand, because it is annoying watching someone like fidget all the time. And I never knew that. But this was from a young age. I was doing this from a very young age, but it just was never seen, never noticed. So anyone who's watching this, I implore you to like really connect with self and see what is causing that dis-ease in your body from an emotional connection, and try and connect, you know, the words that exactly what you've said, that where in your life are you not seen? So if fibromyalgia is seen as the invisible illness, so I had to question myself and say, Alpa, where in your life were you not seen? And then work from the root on the emotional side, in this kind of working in my auric field from a spiritual perspective, an emotional perspective, then dealing with the physical side as well, with what's gone on as a result of all of that sort of toxic debris that's circulated within the physical body because of the negativity or unresolved trauma or repressed emotions, whatever it is. When you start getting honest with yourself and start seeing yourself, that's when magic happens.
It is beautiful human. Beautiful human. And you know, just as you were speaking about the fidgeting and so on, the disease, the uneasiness, I think you may have already, you probably have already tweaked to this, but that uneasiness is due to the uneasiness in the presence of a lot of people, and the lack of having been able to give voice, at least to yourself, of that.
Yes.
Because there's even the moral judgments that I mustn't think this way.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the
We
truth
all do that, don't we, folks?
yeah. Well, it can be a strong part of that. What's coming out with fibromyalgia. You're seeing so much, and you feel you need to give voice, but you can't. You know, I mean, and it is being able to, this is the dynamic again, building that dynamic where we're really, really happy in our silence. You know, when I can hear this so much BS, and I'm sitting there and I'm smiling. I'm just smiling within myself. It's not a judgment of them. Bless your precious hearts.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can say. There's nothing I can do outwardly, but I'm doing everything outwardly because I'm in my presence. Yes. And there are people shouting or saying their thing. There's always somebody who's looking. There's always someone who's looking for the light, and we'll see that. Whether they come to you or not doesn't matter. They've seen your light. Because they recognize it in themselves, they're becoming ready. Yeah. So even sitting in your presence is huge. Sitting in our presence is huge. So we come to the bridge.
Yes, I was just about to say, so humanity is what may seem like on the precipice of something, the precipice of huge change, but then we could be saying that at every kind of interval of this journey that we've been going through for the last 15 months acutely. So Dr. Nicky and I were speaking on the phone the other day, and he gave a good analogy of standing on the bridge. And was it on the bridge or across the bridge?
Well, it depends where you are, where
Yeah,
you want to look.
okay, so this is interesting. So for me, I would say I've just got off that bridge, and you know, I'm looking around in this newfound awareness, slightly calmer than what I am now. This is how futuristic. And we were speaking about where humanity is now, and you explained it so well, better than what I've just done. So I'll hand it back to you.
Well, you know, not to talk about the fifth dimension, but the fifth dimension is not a place. It's a state of being. And if you like, the lowest common denominator, or the highest common factor, depending on how you look at it, is when you can see with the eyes of love, when you are looking with unconditional love at whatever's in front of you, and when you're feeling that beingness of love, that is fifth dimensional being. And as human beings, because, yeah, and so that is, if you like, standing across the bridge, thinking there's a huge ravine, you know, and that's the unknown, what we don't know. And you're either excited like me, or you're afraid. And that's not to say sometimes I'm not a bit scared, but we get a bit scared and we still jump. But there's this ravine, a point of choice. A point of shadow is a point of choice. Do I choose light on or light off?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that point of choice, but there's a bridge going across that ravine. And all of those who are light workers, way showers, have already been and seen what it's like viewing from the other side of the bridge. They all remember. They're waking up with the remembering, because when you're passed over and you have no body, your soul being, you know, if you want to die, if you want to be enlightened quickly, die. Die.
Go.
Come back, right? Okay. So we've all been there. So we're remembering. And when you remember, you can start to feel. When you intent through your own free will, take that truth of seeing with the eyes of love. Okay. Now we come back because we have chosen to be in third and fourth dimensional reality, the movie. And we're at a time where we're going to change that movie through our visions, through our longing, through what we want to bring, in order to show that humans can live totally as fifth dimensional beings in physicality, but now crystalline form.
Yeah.
All right. So we come back. Some are standing on the bridge waving to those who are close to come.
Take me, take me.
No, yeah, come over. They're standing, and some are standing off the bridge on the other side. And I would say I'm one of those. And I'm looking not at the ones coming, but the ones behind those coming. The ones who are about to wake up. The 75% of people, maybe less, I think it might even be less, although you wouldn't think so, who are asleep. Because they're the innocent children. Even if some of them are seem screwed up. They're the innocent. They're the innocent who haven't woken up. And that's who I'm looking towards, even though you're sharing mostly with those who are forward and who are crossing the bridge.
Yeah.
But I consciously chose to come here. Every light worker on Wayshow has consciously chosen to
Absolutely.
come here. So
Absolutely.
stop moaning.
Yes.
Stop moaning and groaning and saying, why is it taking so long, and so on. It's a privilege to be here. There were thousands and millions of people queuing up to come here, and you got the ticket. Well done. Now make the most of it. Pull your socks up. Some of you hold light. That's all you need. Be in your garden. And if the rest of your life you are being in the garden, chatting to passers-by and sharing your produce and feeling the love for all humanity, you're doing as much as somebody who's out there fighting the good fight, but keeping their presence of being.
We
It's
chose this
presence.
script. We chose this journey. And when you remember that one simple fact, no one can deny that. Once you get in tune with the covenant of your soul, and you realize that you are responsible for everything of this soul journey, that's when you can embrace and see things through true love, because this was your choice. So then ultimately what happens, the blame game stops. The blame game stops, and then we lose the attachment to time frames. So be gentle on yourself, people. It's not easy. I definitely don't find it easy, and I don't claim to know anything. I always say, I know nothing. I know nothing. However, nada. And then you remain that humility and humbleness, and you understand, or understand, shall I say, that we are all figuring our stuff out, and remembering our way home. And we keep it simple.
And we're doing it together.
And we're doing it together. And with people, I just want to take you back to a point you just raised earlier about your focus being on the people that are about to wake up. There is a lot going out there where people on our side, or whatever side, I don't like sides, I just prefer this universal, like everyone's everywhere scattered in their own parts. But people who have taken the Jabberwocky, that's the name I like giving it. Catherine Edwards, I have to give it to her. She said that, we'll call it the Jabberwocky, Alpa. People who've taken it, and the healers that I'm speaking to, that deal like with healing, and they do remote healing, they do Reiki healing, all different modalities of the healing, sound healing, and they distinctively can tell the difference in people's vibration who've had it. Like they can tell. And I said, yeah, but is that just like a placebo? Because you know that you know that they have. So now in your head, you're like, oh, they've had it, they're lower, and their soul's been hit, this, that, the other. There's a lot of people that have come in and haven't told me, and I could tell, and then I've asked them, have you taken it? And because they could feel the frequency was different. And is there hope for these people to wake up?
You asking me?
Yeah, what your views? There's no one answer.
I'll tell you, I would say I just about get on a high horse when I hear things like that, because the healers are succumbing to the fear. When I don't want to go into my own much, but when I had cancer and I found my way of dealing with it, one of the things I made sure was that I didn't go to medical people. I didn't go near them, because I knew that they hold fear. They hold the fear of the whole thing. And fear is the killer. And I hear spiritual people saying to you had the vaccine, or you're going to die, or things like that. Even if they don't say it, they feel it. What about God? What about the divine blueprint of our physical body that's coming online? What about our capacity to handle anything, our physical body? if we're in alignment. What about that? Where's your faith? Oh, ye of little faith, the human body and its capacity to deal with anything. I so love you all, but sometimes there's so much nonsense, and human beings love to scare themselves, even those who should know better.
Yes.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
No, and I appreciate that, because this is the purpose of the Love in Action show with myself, because I want to speak to kindred souls, people who've had their own journeys of life and experienced tumultuous things, but how they have managed to get themselves out, because through other people's journeys we can learn a lot. We don't have all the answers, and we won't learn everything in just one lifetime. It takes lifetimes and lifetimes for us to get to where we're meant to get to, if we've learned our lessons. And people come as mirrors in our lives. They come in as teachers to teach us things of what we need to transcend and transmute and evolve. And the main purpose for me to do this was obviously speak about what I'd learned in this 1 year being a baby truther. However, now my attention is to be connecting with people like yourself from all walks of life. So I will be focused on the geopolitical to the spiritual, to helping people on their mission, because like you said correctly, it's we are together and we are collective. And how do we deal with, it's not going to be a bed of roses all the time. We're going to be tested constantly. I'm tested all the time, every day, and I don't get it right. I have the anger, which I'm transmuting and trying to evolve, because I'm aware now. So my friends, my families, people who are watching this, my social media family, I hope that you have taken recording. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly finish before it discontinues again. I hope that you've taken something positive from today's show. And on a closing note, I'm just going to hand it back over to Dr. Nicky, and I hope you'll find all his website details on the description below. So thank you so much for coming on. And on a final note, I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Alpa. It's been such a pleasure to meet you, a pleasure to be with you. And I so love how you, in your sharing, in your honesty, make your vulnerability a badge of courage.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for the honor of being with you. And I so love you, and I so love every single person here. And how can I say that? Because I know who I am, and I know who you are. We're going home together, folks. We're going home together.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. That was just adorable.